Hey everyone, welcome back to math class. I'm sure that you missed me so much. Just kidding. Anyway, today I am going to teach you how to classify polynomials based on the number of terms that they have. So a term in a polynomial is something that's separated by either a plus sign or a minus sign. That is how you can figure out the number of terms. So the first number of terms that we're going to talk about is if you have one term. So if we have one term, that is called a monomial. So mono means one. So we are going to have one term. When we have a polynomial that only has one term, there are not going to be any plus signs or minus signs. You can multiply as many things as you want, but you are only going to have one term. No pluses, no minuses. So it might be 3. It might be 2x squared. You might have negative 17abc. You might have 85a to the 10th power. But do you see how in all of these examples, there is not a plus sign or a minus sign that separates any terms? So these are all examples of monomials. Then we have two terms. Those are called binomials. Just like a bicycle has two wheels, a binomial has two terms. So you might have something like 2x squared plus 3. So I have one term, then a plus sign, and then another term. You could also have something like negative 17x plus 25y. I have one term, a plus sign, and then another term. These plus signs could also be minus signs, but either way, I have something plus or minus something else. So one term plus or minus another term. Okay, next we could have three terms. So if we have three terms, we call that a trinomial. A trinomial, like a tricycle, that's how you can remember, has three terms. So you could have 5x squared minus 2x minus 5. So here's one term, a plus or minus sign, another term, a plus or minus sign, and another term. You could also have negative 17a plus 15b minus c. There's one term, a plus or minus sign, another term, a plus or minus sign, and then another term. So 1, 2, 3 terms. And then lastly, if a polynomial has 4 or more terms, we just call it a polynomial. It's just the basic way to say anything that has 4 or more. Poly means many. So a binomial, a trinomial are technically polynomials because it has more than one term, and a monomial is just a monomial. However, if we have two terms, we have a very specific name, a binomial. If we have three terms, we have a very specific name, a trinomial. If we have 4 or more terms, we just call those polynomials. So an example of that could be 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 5. I have a minus, a plus, and a minus. That separates my terms: 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms. You could also have something like 8x to the 9th minus 3x to the 5th plus 4x to the 7th. Let's write 4. 4x to the 4th minus 2x squared plus 7. And then here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, which is more than 4. So that is also a polynomial. Please let me know if you have any questions, and good luck on the sort. Hey everyone, another way that we can classify a polynomial is by the degree. So when you write a polynomial in standard form, you are going to write the exponents in order from largest to smallest. So when we do that, the leading exponent, or the very biggest exponent, is called our degree. So if we have a degree of 0, what we have is a constant. A constant is just a number without a variable. So it could be negative 17. It could be 6. It could be 27. All of these are examples of constants because they are just a number and they will never change because they are not attached to a variable. So the first degree that we could have besides 0 is 1, and that will give us a linear equation or linear expression. All of you are very familiar with this, and this looks something like negative 17x plus 1, or 2x, or 25x. Do you notice that all of my variables x have only an imaginary 1 as an exponent, so the degree is 1. Okay, my next example or degree is going to be 2. We also should be fairly familiar with expressions or equations with the degree of 2. We call those quadratic equations. And a quadratic equation in standard form would be ax squared plus bx plus c. So an example of that might be 12x squared minus 3x plus 4. Another example of a quadratic equation could simply be negative 2x squared. Another example of a quadratic equation could be 64x squared minus 4. In each of these cases, the largest exponent is a 2. That means the degree of the equation is 2, and it is a quadratic equation or expression. I guess technically those are all expressions because there's no equals sign. Again, this is just the standard form. Similarly, slope-intercept form is, in my opinion, the standard form, which would be y equals mx plus b, where x is the only variable and that has an exponent of 1, which makes it a linear equation. Okay, next we have a degree of 3. We call those cubic equations. It's just like when we've talked earlier about cubing something, which is raising it to the third power. So in all of these examples, 3 is the largest exponent. So you might have something that looks like negative 12x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. And in this, 3 is my largest exponent, and that is why it's cubic. You could also have something that's like 6x cubed. That's your whole expression, but the 3 is the largest exponent. You could also have 5x cubed minus 2x, but since 3 is my largest exponent, it is a cubic expression. And then I'm going to show you an example of 4, but really this rule works for 4 or more. So if I have a 4th degree polynomial, we usually just call them 4th degrees. You could call them quartic, but if you put 4th degree, and the same goes for 5th degree polynomials, or anything higher than 4, you're just going to take that number and say like the 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree, 7th degree. Like I said, 4th degree does have a name, it's quartic. 5th degree does have a name, it's quintic. However, if you put 4th degree or 5th degree, that's totally fine. In a 4th degree polynomial, the largest exponent is a 4 when you write it in order from biggest exponent to smallest exponent. So you might have negative 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus x squared plus x plus 7. So 4 is my largest exponent. As long as 4 is the largest exponent, it will be a 4th degree polynomial. Similarly, if I have an equation or an expression like 2x to the 5th minus 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 1. Because 5 is my largest exponent, and I wrote it in order from the largest exponent to the smallest exponent. This will be a 5th degree polynomial. If you have any questions, let me know, and good luck on the next page's sort. Okay, everyone, now what we're going to do is we're going to take what we learned in the last video and we're going to actually apply it to a few problems. So I'm going to do 3 examples for you, and then you will get to practice. So let's say that we were given an expression and that looks like this, negative 6x cubed. Now this is very nice because there's only one term. As you can see, there's no plus or minus sign, so I have just the one term. So when I classify it by the number of terms, since I have 1, it is a monomial. And since the degree is 3, we have a cubic expression. So since the degree is 3, so I'll put that in parentheses. Since this is a 3rd degree polynomial, we call it a cubic. And since it only has the one term, we call it a monomial. Okay, now we're going to make it slightly more difficult, just very slightly. So if you have an equation, or an expression rather, because it does not have a equal sign, we like a minus 2a plus 3a squared. The first thing that you're going to want to do is put it in standard form. And when I say standard form, you want to write it in the order from the biggest degree, or the biggest exponent, which we call the degree, to the smallest exponent. So in this case, 2 is my largest degree, so I'm going to start off by writing 3a squared. Then I have these two terms are actually the exact same. They are like terms and I can combine them because this is a to the first power and this is also a to the first power. So I have 1a minus 2a, which is negative 1a. You could write a 1, you don't have to. So when I classified this by the terms, I have 1 and then 2 because it's separated by a minus sign. So 2 terms is what we call a binomial. 2, like a bicycle, 2 terms. Okay, and then the largest exponent that we have is a 2, so it is a quadratic equation or expression. So 2 second degree. Okay. Hopefully this is maybe a little bit of a review or a fairly easy concept. But if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask a question in class, write a question at the end of this slideshow, send me an email, send me a hangout, and I'd be happy to help you out. Or I guess they don't call it hangout, they call it a G chat, but you get the point. Okay. So finally, what we're going to do is we are going to have something that's once again just a teeny bit more complicated. So we have 5x squared plus 2x, I drew that prematurely, minus 8. And then we have plus, parentheses, 5x squared minus 4x. So because this is a plus sign, I don't actually have to distribute anything. I can just get away the parentheses and combine like terms. So since I'm adding, I'm going to write the like terms right underneath. So this is also 5x squared, and then I have minus 4x, and then I can forget about it. So when I add these two together, 5x squared plus 5x squared is 10x squared. 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. And then I have nothing to combine the negative 8 with, so I'm just going to bring it down. So now I have written this expression from the largest degree, from the largest exponent to the smallest exponent, and now I can classify it by the number of terms and the exponent. The degree. So if I look first, I have 1, 2, 3 terms. So 3 terms, 3 wheels, tricycle, or a trinomial, which means it has 3 terms. Next, I need to classify it by the degree or the largest exponent. And once again, the largest exponent I have is 2. So this is a quadratic equation, which means it is the second degree. And now you get to practice doing this exact same thing. Let me know if you have any questions at all.